The Diddy distraction. I don't know how people are falling for this like that. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Some people that believe in Jesus, the same people that are going to vote for Trump or Kamala, the same people that get vaccinated. I was talking to my kid today, taking my kids to school. And as we're driving, my youngest, who is more like me than my oldest in that regard, says, "Look at all the pretty lines, Dad. That's totally normal, natural. Look at that one. That one was sprayed earlier, and it's clearly, it looks like when you drop dirt in water and how it goes with the flow. Clearly, it's a chemtrail, and it's going with the jet stream. I don't know what else you want to call it. What's that big thing right over there? It looks like a big explosion. Okay? So I'm talking to my kid about it. And he says, I think, he says something like, I think it's just exhaust. I said, really? You think that's just exhaust? Like I say to him, it's totally okay. I don't want you to just believe it because I believe it. I want you to tell me what you think. Why do you think it's just exhaust? And it basically came down to, he wants to think it's exhaust. Because if he doesn't think it's exhaust and he starts thinking about what it actually is, it scares him. It makes him think about things that he doesn't want to think about. And I thought, that is just such an amazing answer. And I need to actually tell him that when I see him later. But, I told him that you can always talk to me. Anytime you want to know, anytime, any of that, you can always talk. And, and again, I didn't even think, what an adult, powerful answer to say. I didn't talk about it because it scares me. If we were all that honest, we would get a lot further. There you go. There's a great example of the plane that's going to Detroit Metro Airport. That's about 10 miles south of here, directly south of here. And then all of those trails that go west to east, east to west, going to and from Southridge Air Force Base. There's a difference. The planes that go to the airport never have trails. There's never any north to south trails. Most of these trails come from the west and head to the east. Selfridge Air Force Base is about 40 miles, 50 miles east of here. I'm sure it's just coincidence, though. But it's just, oops. I see Diddy shit everywhere. I don't know, but I see Diddy, memes, Diddy videos, Diddy LeBron, Diddy this, everything. I see Diddy stuff everywhere. You know what you don't see? You don't see Weinstein stuff everywhere. You know who we don't see? Woody Allen. Why don't we see Woody Allen's name plastered all over the place? This motherfucker married his adopted daughter. And we want to talk about there was no grooming taking place there? Woody Allen is one of the sickest motherfuckers ever. Just be broadcast to us like it's no big deal. And look at the rainbows. Look at the little rainbow midgets dead ahead. You see that? Because that's just normal. That's just what the sun does. Chris Kelly. Yup. The thing about the Diddy distraction is it's just that. It's to distract you from the Jews. Because the Jews have been doing all of this same shit for fucking ever. The entire time Hollywood has been a Hollywood, the Jews have controlled it, and they have done this exact same shit. Something's starting to come out now about the Ring Boy scandal. There's a lot of that starting to surface. And that's the predecessor to the steroid scandal. That's why the steroid scandal happened. Look at it. They're coming from the east. So we have that one over there. You see it? That brand new one just coming right over there. And then we have a couple over here. Just all these new lines just being laid. Yeah. Oh, look, there's one getting laid right there. It's all normal, right? Just normal stuff. But the Ring Boy scandal, like the whole, all of sports used to be this big. It doesn't make any sense that Congress would have hearings, congressional hearings, to deal with the steroid scandal, right? When you think about that, like, does that make sense? Why would that's fucking stupid. That's just a dumb business. But the reason they did that and they made such a big deal about the steroid scandal is to cover up the Ring Boy scandal, is to cover up the Bat Boy scandal, the Ball Boy scandal. It was starting to come out that all of these professional sports that for some reason have little boys, manual labor jobs for free, I guess. That there's some, oh, go figure, huh? And so instead of letting the Ring Boy scandal come to fruition like it should, they distracted us with the steroid scandal, because baseball is more popular than wrestling anyway. At least it was. But it leads back into the Diddy shit, because Diddy is nothing special. I am so glad Diddy is getting arrested. I hope they kill him. I hope whenever we find out somebody has violated other people and can live with themselves, and when those people need to be killed, whether they're raping children, whether they're raping women or even men, it really doesn't matter. If you can violate someone who doesn't want to be, like, if you can maintain an erection with someone who doesn't want to be in that situation, you got issues that are deeper than most people are willing to think about. You know, those things can be very fickle, a fickle pickle. And if you're doing something that you know is wrong, and you're still all yay, like, I don't think it's wrong for people to be like into pegging, into feet fucking, whatever gross weird thing you want to do with a consenting adult. I don't give a shit. Whatever, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But as soon as you can still maintain that wood, and you know, somebody's passed out, or somebody's telling you no, again, the fickle pickle doesn't work that way. You start thinking about negative shit, and it's gonna go away. You know, it's not, at least it should, I guess. In my experience, that's how it works. I guess I don't know about you guys, but that's what I'm saying. Like when it comes to Diddy, are you guys crazy? Diddy's just another black guy. Isn't it interesting how over the last couple years, the black guys, we've had both Cat Williams and Kanye West come out talking about, oh, the conspiracy. Here, let me throw black people under the bus. Now, if my feed dies because I got home, there's something going on with my house. Because my feed was doing well until I got home. Oh, we got one of these called a donut. I don't know if you guys ever smoked a donut before, but this is my first donut. Anyway. Diddy, Kanye, Cat Williams, it's all about distraction. Do you guys realize when Kanye came out and did what he did, Israel was putting Netanyahu in charge. Netanyahu, and what was openly known to be the most supremacist, like racist, but supremacist group of members between Bezalel Smotrich and Itmar Ben-Gvir and Avi Moaz. These people, one of those people at least, served time for violence against Arabs, for sparking a violent revolt against Arabs. No, so while we're all distracted by Kanye pretending he's going to say something about the Jews, then only talking about black people, Kyrie not saying anything, just posting a link, and then Dave Chappelle explaining it all to us in case you missed it, that there are two things and two words you don't say in Hollywood and together and anything good comes of it. And that is the and Jews. You just don't say it. Blah, blah, blah. Dave told you all the rules. While that was happening, Netanyahu was put in position, and the genocide that ended up that's happened since October 7th, 2023, that happened almost a year later, that was all put in play. Then when the Epstein list, which was an insulting bunch of bullshit, so you guys have to understand, when they busted Epstein, when they fucked up, they messed up and told us, is this live news? No. They messed up and told us that that when they went into these Epstein residences, that each one had a little control center that was wired to every room in the house, and it had cameras and audio for every room, every space in the house.
That's creepy as fuck.
Which again is Israeli tech. You know, Epstein's not just going to do that. That's Israel that outfitted all these houses and whatnot. And they found in each one of these houses a safe, and inside the safe were flash drives, videotapes, DVDs, all of these things, and they would have the famous person's name, the victim's name, and how old they were. And it was all of this big, that's the list that we should have been given. Instead, we're given this 1,000 pages of blah, blah bullshit that really doesn't say anything. And once we started to figure that out and we're like, hey, this is bullshit. This isn't a list. Cat Williams pops up. Cat Williams pops up and tells everybody, hey, hey, pay attention to black people. It's black people. It's black people. Isn't that convenient how that works? Every time something happens, every time they need a good distraction, all they do is throw a black guy under the bus. It's tale as old as time. Dude, good weed is going to make you cough, man. And I will drink some water, don't worry. But that's not important. And the thing is, right now, like Corey Feldman and you know, when Corey Feldman, a Jew himself, was going to out the whole industry, we got COVID. You guys don't realize this, but the day Corey Feldman started his press tour to champion his movie that he had to make all by himself, because again, he says he's going to make this movie and nobody wants to help him. Nobody. Not a single fucking studio. Nobody's going to help him. Like, this movie's going to flop. But as soon as he starts to do his tour, that's the same day the story about the random miscellaneous woman in Northern California was then suddenly put on a ventilator, and no, we're not going to give her identity, and no, all these other things. Like, that's the same day. You guys just don't realize these things happened like my dumbass does. Unfortunately, I happen to have one of these memories that remembers these things. Believe me, if I could just be a dumb Christian and just be like, oh, well, as long as I follow the rules the Jews tell me to follow, when I die, I go to heaven. If I could do that, I would in a heartbeat. I absolutely would. But to me, it's all just so stupid and it doesn't make any sense. And then when you actually look at what they want you to do, because for me, I don't look at conspiracy theories. I don't watch conspiracy pages. Alex Jones is a piece of shit, controlled opposition, Anomaly and all that. Anomaly with he's allowed to have 2 million plus followers. Yeah, that's totally on the up and up. No problem there. Like I don't watch any of those guys. I look at the information they want me to know and then just ask questions. Why is Diddy all over the news? Diddy's not that talented. Diddy's not that smart. And when you look at the Diddy history, it's pretty obvious, L.A. Reid, he was L.A. Reid's little bitch boy for a little while. And he was given the position he was in. Diddy didn't just make that position happen. Diddy was given all of his powers. Isn't it weird how his name is Puff Daddy, P. Diddy? Puff Daddy. When I think of Puff and Puffy, I either think of weed or I think of like puffy nipples, like kid girly shit, And then Diddy is the diddler, right? That's another kid fucking associated pedo word. You think conspiracy channels on YouTube are crap? I think the vast majority of truther channels are people with the best intentions. I think the majority of super successful truther pages are agents, controlled opposition, or they just happen to be people that say what they need to say. Like, at the end of the day, if you're still pushing that God exists, therefore there's a devil and then Jesus and all that other bullshit, then they don't really care. And they don't really care what conspiracy you talk about as long as you don't talk about the Jews. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that if you want to have a conspiracy page, talk about chemtrails. You talk about chemtrails, man, you'll get a big page, no doubt. The only group, and it's the oldest adage, the people you're not allowed to talk about are the people you should be talking about. And we all know the rules. And if you didn't know the rules, again, Dave Chappelle told you the rules. You don't talk about the Jews. That's what we all know. And nobody even seems to second guess that. Nobody asks why. Why can't we talk about them? What's so, like, especially if they're good. If they're doing the right thing and everything they do and say is good, then why can't we talk about them? That's not how it works. You don't say, man, I had the best dinner last night, and somebody's like, oh, what'd you have? And you go, fuck you, don't ask me that. You're not allowed to talk about that. How dare you? Remember, this is the group that we're told it's a slur to say they have all the money, the power, and the control. Oh, how dare you say that they have all the money, power, and control? That's just wrong. Like, you talk a lot about Jews. At least you're paying attention, Jay Summer. The thing is, if you want to see your average truther page, you want to see your average conspiracy page, there are countless people out there doing it. There are countless people doing the Trumpster thing. There are countless people, falling for every distraction out there. Tartaria, there's a hell of a lot of Tartaria pages out there, and those pages are allowed to have quite a large following. And I believe in Tartaria, no doubt. But it's a distraction. And at the end of the day, Tartaria is just another finger on the hand on the arm, on the torso, that has the head of the monster attached to it, which controls that arm, that hand, that torso, those fingers. And you want to talk about those things. And I'm just done talking about those things. So if that's more your bag, if that's what you want to talk about, any of those things, vaccines or any of that shit, I mean, I definitely mention those things, and we'll talk about them to some degree. But everything always leads back to the Jews. So my kids are ethnic Jews. They don't practice the ideology. Jews come in every form. Jews that are good with money and those who aren't. Where are ethnic Jews from? What place? Where, are we saying these are the Judea Jews? Like, ethnic Jews is stupid. You know, where are you from? Like, what's the place? And really, you know, I've said forever, civic pride and ethnic pride, that shit's stupid. You didn't do anything. You don't deserve to have pride in that. Save your pride for the things you accomplish. But unless your people are calling out calling out the horrors of Judaism, it doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. To me, if you are somehow associated with Judaism and you still see the problem, then you're better off. Like, you're more impressive to me than most. That's DNA, duh. They've never been there. Right, DNA, right. The thing that you can test, or the thing that you need probably some Jews to tell you. And there was a whole thing that came out about how all the people that were sending in all these tests to Ancestry.com were coming back with like 1% Jewish, 2% Jewish. But this is all you trusting a system. You know? When you start talking about DNA and all that shit, you get into that category of you personally, Jay Summer, whoever you are, Guy Williams, whatever, you don't get to know that. You don't get to prove it. You don't get to see it, experience it. You just have to trust the system that tells you these things. And it's a system that lies a lot. It's just, again, I guess people don't really realize it.
Do you want to know?
I am Native American, so, you know, again, we're talking about something where I'm sorry, I don't buy the Native American genocide myth, narrative. I don't buy the slavery myth or narrative. I don't buy the narratives we're given. And I know that bothers people. It's really weird. The people that are going to get the most angry with me, you know, if I deny slavery, you know who's going to get the most mad at me? Black people. If I say there was no Native American genocide, you know who's going to get the most mad at me? Natives. They've trained you into believing your identity, your cultural identity, is like weakness and foolishness and all this other bullshit. You know, the fact that they say that there were 100 million natives in the Americas when white man invaded, like that the idea that a small group of white people over just a short couple hundred years managed to virtually wipe out the other ones. Like, it's just white supremacy bullshit. They've trained us, yet here you are talking about Jews, the irony. See, this is where I never understand it. If I'm getting something wrong, say that. Say the thing I'm getting wrong. Don't try to be clever and cute, because who knows what you're trying to say. I can tell you this. You know, I'm the one that's willing to be wrong. Are you? When was the last time your narrative changed? What do you believe? What do you talk about? What do you, what system do you follow that's new that you haven't been following since you were a child? Yep, everyone knows what you're saying. So then say it. I'm saying I don't. So say what you're saying more clearly. Don't be arrogant, don't be lazy, don't be cowardly, because the coward's the one that won't, if somebody asks you for clarification and you're like, "No," that's cowardly. I think all of those narratives are just chat GPT sort of bullshit narratives. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Stupid cow. God damn it. Oh, here we go. More shoot the messenger shit. So ask someone to clarify what they're saying. And instead of saying, "Oh, here, let me explain it, let me clarify it," I've gotten like 3 comments at least, but none of them actually do. Now it's the shoot the messenger thing. Must not be weed. Yep, that's what it is. So then, shouldn't you be able to do this better? If I'm the one that's compromised, shouldn't you be looking like a superstar here? But this is what you always run into. And it's the same thing. It's like whether it's Diddy or it's the history you choose to believe. Until we overthrow the Jews that control the narrative, we're just victims. We have to believe what they want us to believe. And it's just the strangest shit, man. Leslie Moonves. I mean, how many of you even know that name? He was the former head of CBS. Got caught up in the Me Too shit. Got caught violating Jerica, whatever her name is. And was fired with a $40 million severance package. The Asian chick that hosts Big Brother, she's his wife. And he's like old. Julie Chen or whatever her name is. Is that the right one? You know what I thought about the other day? If I were to go to China, Japan, whatever, and I was like, "Yeah, my name's Guy, but just call me Fing Fang Foom," everybody be like, "Oh my God, that is so racist. How dare you? That is so fucking racist." Yet Asian guys whose names are Fing Fang Foom come over here and be like, "Just call me Steve." That shit ain't right. Just be Fing Fang Foom. You know why they can't be Fing Fang Foom? Because of the racism. It's that simple. You want to talk about, there's no racism. That's one of the that's why they do it. They have to hide who they are because, asshole idiot white people will treat them wrong. Blacks too. Don't. I just, when we're talking about blacks, we're talking about 13% of the population. And of that 13%, it's only like half that are the scary thugs that we all, we've been trained to fear. So, it's negligible. It's barely noticeable in the scale of things, in the scheme of things. And that just, it's all one big circle. Like, do you notice how even though I've even had some dumbass sort of try to come at me, nobody ever tells me that I'm wrong. Like, what am I wrong about? When it comes to this Diddy stuff, tell me what I'm wrong about. Tell me how Diddy is more important than the countless Jews that have been doing the same thing for all of Hollywood. Dan Schneider. You guys know who Dan Schneider is? He played Dennis on Head of the Class and then was a huge mogul producer for Nickelodeon. Never got in trouble. But now, as an old man, he puts out videos talking about, if I ever did anything to anyone, I am sorry. I am not going to deny it. I was in a bad place for a lot of those times. So if I did something that people didn't find appropriate or did, I am very sorry. Oh, well, then that's okay. The whole, I don't know how many of you are parents, right? But those that are parents, if you found out Michael Jackson or fucking Billy Crystal or I don't give a fuck, the guy that does the voice for Elmo, if you found out that adult man wanted to hang out with your 13-year-old son, daughter, would you be like, fuck yeah, go spend the night. That'll be fun.
No.
No. None of us think like that.
No.
None of us.
I don't care what sex my child is.
None of us. And you could say, oh, it was a different... No. Yet we're told that's somehow normal. That's somehow, that was what happened.
But he doesn't have a bad kidney. Not anymore.
Not even a little bit. Especially, if you let your kid go hang out with Michael Jackson after, 85? Because already rumors had existed. But, I mean, I don't care who it is. As a... I don't know. In my 30s, I found myself to be too old to ever really want to... I thought, thank God I'm married, because I definitely wouldn't want to be out dating, especially a bunch of fucking 19, 20-year-olds and shit.
The thing is, if you honest, this person is one of the richest, most famous people in the world.
Right.
And they want to hang out
and they're
with
an adult.
Kid.
They're an adult. That one of the richest, most famous adults in the world
does not want to hang out with my kid.
Or even let's just say let's take one thing out. Take the whole one of the most famous people. What if they're not even one of the most famous? They're just a famous person.
They don't want to hang out with my kid.
Exactly.
They can do anything they want. They can find supermodels to go hang with.
Right.
They could go to all the circuses in the world that are going on in that week. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
All the circuses in the world.
I mean, well, he's got his Disney whatever.
I know, I got you.
So if that's a shit that he likes, go visit everyone that's on this earth.
Go to Cedar Point every day.
He doesn't want to hang out with my kid. If he likes to hang out with kids, I'm sure there's a lot more interesting, better kids out there that he can hang out with. You know what I mean?
No.
Because he didn't pick famous people's kids. He picked just average Joe's kids.
So we're told, how much of the narrative is actually true? At this point, I'm willing to say I think it's more lies than we actually think it is. So do I put it past the system for just creating all of it, all sides of it? No. Because, we're talking about what, Ange just said it. That famous person doesn't want to hang out with me.
Right.
And I'm an adult. They're not going to want to hang out with somebody that's going to be like, whoa, you're famous. That's cool.
And if it's because you're missing kids in your life and you're rich and famous, you could go to an orphanage and be adored by the whole fucking building.
Go to
you
the
know,
go to the
and
go to the
make their
hospitals.
lives.
Right.
So I just don't get it.
Right. No, it's just
So
you
the
do get it.
parents are at fault, not Michael Jackson.
But
The
see,
parents of those kids are at fault.
that's where it comes in, and you go, okay, so how many parents in your life do you think would be okay with that?
Lots of them, unfortunately. Absolutely. I think the fat one down the street with 20 kids, she'd be fine with it. I think the idiot over here, give her some cash, she'd be fine with it.
So that's when we're talking about different things, though. Once you start paying these people, and but they still
But with her, it would be I'm hoping to get some cash. So yeah, you can play with my kids.
exactly,
You know.
exactly. But she would be doing it knowing that there's something going. Nobody would be like, yes, adult male, hang out with my teenage child. There's nothing going on here. I'm gonna go to the store.
The hippie, she would never do it. Habibi, he would never do it. Like, you know, but I unfortunately know enough people that I would say, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it. And it's fucking wrong.
Yeah, but then again, we're talking about scammers in their own right trying to scam. And even then, I doubt it. I doubt it. I think as bad as we think about her and the personal shit going down right now, I don't think she's going to let her kids hang out with randoms. Because that's a stranger, random stranger, famous person.
Fucking Luke Bryant walked up and was like, hey, I'll take your kids to the circus. It's all good. Go get yourself pampered. Here's some money. Go get yourself a day at the spa. I got this. Yes, you would. Oh, hell yeah. That's Luke Bryant. He'll take my babies. He'll be good. Everybody will know him. So, you know, it'll be fine.
I don't know. Maybe I just think better of people, I guess. Even if they're pieces of shit. Yeah, even if they're pieces of shit. I don't know.
I don't think she would ever hurt our kids. Like, she's not that kind of a bad person. But when it comes to that, she's so self-serving. Yes.
I mean that speaks to something different then. That's a different conversation to be had then.
But those people still are allowed to have kids. And those are the kids that
And but see, okay, so do you know how what's the likelihood that he's gonna find that person? He's not gonna find them, especially pre-internet days.
He's gonna pay the black chick on this show, Danielle, to do all the research and find the potential candidates, and then he's gonna choose from them. He doesn't
But still,
have to find them. He's got
but that's
people
what I
that'll do
mean.
it.
Like this. We're getting into whole systems that
Yeah.
that are presenting. Like I don't know.
That's that sick world.
I mean, it's like a well-known fact that when Usher was 13, he went and lived with Diddy for a year.
Why? What was that mother? That's not even. Yeah.
And
you
it's
can
not-
take my kid to the fucking concert and set him on stage. That's a year.
And he said he saw all kinds of shit when somebody said, "Would you let your kid at 13 go live at?" He said, "Hell no." That was his response. Hell no. But see.
But is he who he is today because of it?
In our society, though, no, he was already on his way to being Usher. That's why he was, because Usher was like Star Search and shit.
So he didn't need Diddy for that final push.
I don't know. I find it all really strange, and I
Because if he did, then that's why.
no. Like the more I look into things, the more I doubt the legitimacy of the narrative we're given. So like this idea of you know that so when was Usher going to school? Before Usher got famous, when was he going to school? And then he was practicing his this and that. He was traveling. He was doing all these, like the Jackson
That's why
5.
the Jordans of the world think it's okay to just drop out of school.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the Jackson 5, we're told were discovered at a talent show. So some rich Jews But it was a church talent show. That's the thing. So the idea that like they have these rich scout Jews that are just going around to all these black neighborhoods, and somehow they find out that the neighborhood church, this one church in Ohio, is having this talent show, and they're just sitting there waiting. Like it's all such bullshit.
And they didn't go to school. Joe remembers seeing them down at Motown, staying in the rooms above.
But they're already famous. Yeah, I'm saying they're already famous. But shit, like we don't talk about. Like we're given so much of the narrative, and then we don't ask like the basic questions because we never even bother to think about it. How come Usher's parents have never been brought into the conversation? I've never heard anybody ask about that shit. Like, what the fuck were your parents thinking? And again, how would Diddy know about 13-year-old Usher? Like this, it's funny. Like most of the famous people, like Eminem, right? Eminem wasn't in a van going around the country putting on show after show and bar after bar, just trying to make a name for himself. He wasn't doing that. Eminem was supposedly discovered from a tape that was given to Dre. Yet us Goyim, we're supposed to get in vans and just make a name for yourself. You got to make a name for yourself. When you think about shit, like when you go back and you think about like all the one-hit wonders, and so many of them are Jews. You think, okay, so that Jew was riding around in their van, going all these, just putting on all these shows, and by the time they were 22 years old, they were on Ed Sullivan. Really? Boy, that is amazing. Eminem is a female. Talk about stupid distractions. And I wouldn't be.
Who gives a fuck?
I wouldn't at all be surprised. If I'm not at all surprised that this person is saying that. You know, like that's the biggest, one of the biggest distractions is the Hollywood. That Michelle Obama is really a man. Blah, blah, blah. Let's just say that's true. How would it change anything?
Who cares exactly?
What would be different?
It does not change anything. The words that they are saying are still the same words. The color blue is still the color blue.
Oh, it's perverted. Yeah, it's perverted. So that's what it is. But John and his brother fucking the same chick while they're both married to other chicks.
Oh, that's
totally cool. Bill sticking a fucking cigar in a chick's pussy. That's all good.
Going to some sleazy club, sitting in a cum-filled room and trying to sneak your fingers in a dancer's butt. That's cool.
Or any of the fucking crazy, Skull and Bones and Bohemian Grove and all those kind of ritual shits. That's all good.
But my goodness, if Eminem is a girl, that's gross.
If two guys like each other, ew. Ew. It's so crazy, man.
It really is.
Can you imagine if we as a community were as enraged over pedophilia as we are over gay trans stuff? Can you imagine if all of these people were like, hey, church, you keep getting in trouble for this. What the fuck? Can you imagine how much different things would be? But nope, you care about what two consenting adults do behind closed doors.
Yeah, it matters.
Like, it's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid.
Do you need this purple lid right away?
Nope. Yeah, my woman clouds my judgment. Yeah, that's what it is. not my brain. See, I can actually back up everything I say. It's not just some dumb nonsense. I can back it up. You know, it's so crazy to think like how it's you're the person that's going to focus on Diddy. Like Diddy fucking matters. Diddy is such a small piece. You know, they throw the guppies a little piece and we go crazy for it. And it's just nuts. And you know what's crazy? Like you see all these videos of like random reporters or truthers, whatever, coming across famous people and then, hey, what's going on? Hey, we love your work. And he's all like, yeah. And you go, hey, what about that Diddy stuff? And they just turn around and walk away. Like this is just, when do we as a dumb goyim, as a unit, when do we unify and go enough? If you're not out here condemning the Diddy situation and you can't be shown to have ever been a part of the Diddy situation, then you should be speaking out. I saw Corey Feldman speaking out. Funny, if you look up Corey Feldman on YouTube, there are dedicated pages out there. There are pages dedicated to fucking smearing him. To just doing everything they can. Like these pages exist by showing his content and tearing it apart. That's allowed. These other pages make money. They're so big they can make money because they trash Corey Feldman. A victim who's speaking out and who has led a life that none of us can even imagine. Even if you were to get famous today, you can't know what it's like to have been famous since you were, 2 years old. Like it's a completely different level of fame. And yet there's so many of these channels designated to trying to tear him apart. There's a Jewish conspiracy. And whether you're willing to talk about it, whether you're willing to look at it, that's what decides things. And I don't understand, again, why we're not uniting and going against this obvious plague. It's obvious. It's all very, very obvious. I don't understand. What holds people back? I don't know. I don't think there's anything that's more important in my life than stopping the church from violating any more children. Like, we're getting by. We might be struggling this way or that way. We might have our fights. We might whatever. But nothing in my world compares to how wrong and in need of God, in need of help more than, the church continuously violating children. Are you really that selfish? All of you out there that think prayer works. If you're praying for anything other than the clergy stops violating children, that's kind of arrogant, isn't it? That's wrong. Like, it's not like your God fixed it, and so now you're praying about something else. You could pray about that shit all day, and it's not going anywhere. Why should that even be necessary? Why would we ever, like, why would you ever worship something that requires you to be, you know, to overlook such awful, awful shit?
Oh shit.
It just, I just can't. How can you be that selfish? Because you want to go to heaven when you die, you're willing to stay quiet and overlook shit that if it was actually happening to you or to someone you loved or cared about, you would then expect everyone else to drop what they're doing to help you. If your kid was getting violated, you would want everybody to stand up for you and believe you and shout and go after those that did it, right? If it was you that was getting violated, same thing, right? Unless you're one of those that succumbs to the programming that tells you if you get violated, then it's your fault and you should be quiet. Such amazing programming. You know where that comes from, right? If I were to say, women, what is the protocol for what happens when when a female is raped? What do they do? If you could tell me what have you seen more than anything else on TV? Well, the girl, she puts herself together. She does her little walk of shame on out of the house, keeps quiet and holds up her clothes and and everybody's laughing at her as she's walking out. Because that's what would happen. You would if you knew somebody had maybe possibly, if you saw a woman walking out of one of your roommates or friends' rooms and she looked all beat up and scared and upset, you'd laugh at her, right? I know I would. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Like, I'd be funny. I'd be like, there goes Susie. Walk of shame. I'd probably take a Polaroid and put it on the wall. But then the girl, her job is to then go home, get in the shower, sit on the floor, and cry as blood water kind of runs down the drain. And then she's to, put on sweatpants, call off work, call out from, any of her friends reach out, she's to push them away. And then if in fact the police do finally come to her, she's not to go to the police, remember. If the police come to her, it's up to her to then resist the police who are trying to help her because she feels like they should have already done more or something. And she knows that it's probably not going to work out in the end, which half of the time it won't. Half the time the guy will get away with it on some sort of technicality or something, something like that. But she is supposed to resist getting help and shun all of her friends and family. She's not supposed to think like, holy shit, I must be something special for somebody to risk violating the law and risk prison time to get at me. I must be awesome, and that motherfucker's going down. She's never supposed to think that way. She's never supposed to be like, yo, let's, I'll testify. Fuck that guy. Can't wait to look him in his fucking eyes and tell him what a piece of shit he is. She's never supposed to be like that. It's supposed to turn her into a recluse. It's supposed to shut her down. And if if it's a guy that gets raped, he's supposed to feel like he's less of a man because, everybody's going to think he's gay and blah, blah, because he got raped while he was passed out or raped by, a group or something that he couldn't do anything about. He's, again, supposed to be embarrassed, maybe even kill himself because the stupid people that we know, if you tell them you get raped, they don't show you sympathy. All right, that's not how our world works. That's not how we as Goyim treat each other. But we all we all grew up watching these shows. Watching shows made by Jews, written, produced, all that by Jews. So the narrative of what was she wearing and all of that stuff, that was put on us. That was put on us. That's how we think. That's why we think that way. The television is most of us, like that's the biggest influence in most of our lives. Most of us are, got way more from television than we got from our parents. This guy is such a doofus. Here we go again. Another example of shoot the messenger. Don't shoot down the theory. Don't shoot down what's being said. Don't actually address what's being said. Just say stupid shit. More and more examples.
Bull, juror number 26 is a self-declared anarchist.
Absolutely not.
A self-declared anarchist. Most of us have been pushed into this position. Like, again, if we were allowed to all talk about the bad guy, we would be talking about the Jews that our grandparents joked about and our parents joked about. We would be talking about the open secret, right? We all know it. Everybody knows that the Jews control Hollywood. Everybody knows that the Jews control the money. Everybody knows the Jews control the government and shit. Like, we all know that shit. But for some reason, the programming on you is stuck a lot more than it stuck to me. But I absolutely know what the hell you guys are going through. I went through it. I went through feeling wrong for saying these things. I had to override that shit because it was strong, I've been told the same bullshit narratives you've been told. I've been told the same lies and had the same restrictions put on me that you've had. It just, you got to override it. And the funny thing is, once you do, and you start saying these things out loud and you hear yourself say them, it becomes a lot easier. It's just like heroin, man. Heroin's only hard the first time. It's with everything. Everything's only difficult the first time. Much easier the second time. It's really fucking crazy. And I challenge you guys to actually sort of debunk anything I'm saying. I want to go back to Diddy. Like, first of all, the Diddy that we see today sure doesn't look like the old Diddy.
Oh, God.
Like, facial structure wise.
Work done.
Maybe. I don't know. You never know with these things anymore. Like, that's the thing. Like, where do you draw that line? Do you think that they're not, can they clone? Or is that a capability they have? Is that, I don't know. I find it hard to believe, like a guy like Eminem or Dave Chappelle. I know those are guys that people say have been cloned. I think their minds are so spectacular. How do you clone that mind? And if you could clone that mind, why wouldn't you clone it multiple times over and just put it in different situation. So I don't know about that. You know, I just I don't know. What we're experiencing is to me, this all seems like really obvious lies. And all of the, you know, like the Jewish conspiracy. I literally do nothing but put myself in a risky position, right? I go and I look things up blindly and I say, all right, let's see what happens. And every time I could find something that makes me look foolish. And makes the narrative seem really obvious, and I go, oh man, that was stupid. I can't believe I thought that way. Kind of like I do with Around Earth nowadays, where I look back and I just think, wow, that was fucking dumb. I can't believe I ever believed that. But every single time I look into any of it, I'm you know, I'm validated. Surprisingly, it's like a constant. The bridge thing was mind blowing. You know, it was so eye opening because you look at what they tell you. The shit you literally have to believe. If you're going to believe the narrative, then you have to believe this part. This is part of the narrative. There's no picking and choosing. So you have to believe that at some point they were pulling railroad cars with half boats on them over mountains using hemp rope and donkeys. Over mountains.
Up and over.
And they had rigged this whole system up and were using this system of donkey pulling because they hadn't figured out how to make a bridge. And then suddenly, this one guy figures it out, and over one winter, from after August to April, he not only removed the previous bridge foundations and whatnot that were there, that were destroyed because of an ice flow, I guess. But he also built the new bridge and made all the wire, like the you know, God damn it, what are they called? The fucking iron, the wires that connect the, what the fuck is that? I'm missing the word. Well, he made all that by hand. He invented it.
They had to take it across the river and stretch it.
Made it by hand, stretched it over the river. Right, over the rivers. Ran the lines across the river and then stretched them by hand. And this bridge was built and lasted 7 years. Or some shit. I can't remember. Maybe
7, that's it?
Yeah, they took it down relatively quickly.
Why?
Mm-hmm. It's the guy that built the Brooklyn Bridge. The same guy.
You can take the piece off.
Yeah, no. We do not need to put it on that other one. We've been smoked. Literally, that thing's been going for an hour.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy. I mean, I think my wife's greatest quality, and it's something that I have too, that when it comes to this whole conspiracy thing, is our skepticism. It's our skepticism that makes us the conspiracy theorists, the truthers to begin with. But most people don't use that same skepticism on the first narrative they're given. Like they go, you know what? This doesn't look right. So I'm gonna look over. Okay, now this looks right. I'm gonna go with this now. They don't go, well, wait, isn't there a whole thing for me to look at? They just make a small adjustment and then go in that direction. And instead of using,
want to do the work. Somebody else has done the work for them.
right,
Somebody else has looked into it, and they're
and
just
presenting them the
There we
video that looks really good, it's well done. You know, that was always my big issue watching those movies is I'd always be like, man, it's kind of weird that the guy that happens to do the conspiracy stuff also happens to be really, really good at making fucking movies. Because that shit is difficult, to say the least. Mm-hmm. And I that was always a hang up for me. Not saying it you know, I don't know. A rich man's trick tells you flat out that every single one of those videos that you've seen on YouTube is all CIA bullshit. Except for the video you're watching right now.
right.
But I think a rich man's trick is absolutely a part of it because a rich man's trick doesn't talk about Israel. You can't talk about the truth, the narrative, all that shit without absolutely condemning Israel. And it's, I like think about it. I challenge you guys. Even, my wife, who's also skeptical. If I'm wrong about these things, especially when it comes to the Jews, why doesn't anybody ever tell me? I mean, these are strangers. These are people that don't have any sort of, they don't have to deal with my bullshit and me being upset or whatever. They could flat out just make me look as dumb as they want and go about their day. Like, this is years. And it's not just strangers. You know that there are people that are like watching and listening to every single word, waiting for me to screw any little thing up so they can jump on it. You know that exists. So if I'm wrong about this stuff, where are they? Why wouldn't they be jumping all over the opportunity to make me look stupid?
That's a good question.
Years. I mean, years. They'll bring up shit I said years ago, when they do finally get the balls to say something. They'll end up bringing up shit from years ago. And it's like, dude, seriously, you only know that stuff because I told you, but what? Like, you can't come up with anything better than that? I don't know anybody else that falls into this category. I don't know anybody else waiting, watching, hoping somebody figures something out and tells me what I'm getting wrong here. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you think about it. When you actually think about like how often, how many days I've done this, how many fucking videos I've made. The fact that there hasn't been any Jews that have come on here to be like, hey, shut up. You're getting things wrong about us. You're spreading negative misinformation about us, and it's dangerous. So we want you to be correct, and you're getting this wrong or that wrong. Not a single one. The thousands and thousands of people that have seen me over the years, and not a single one thinks to engage me in the discussion even a little bit. That's weird.
Ladies, we're in a world of hurt. I need more ammunition to throw the blame on Lance Danny.
If that to you is evidence that I'm wrong, I really don't know what to say. Like, okay, like, I'm open to it. If I wasn't open to being wrong, I wouldn't be this guy. I had to be wrong about the way that you think because I thought the same way you think. When it comes to the earth, well, I never thought the same way you think about God. That was always dumb to me. But, I used to think all this stuff, history, and I used to be really good at it. I still am. It's why I'm so good at this, because I know the other narrative. Space, all that shit. I was wrong. I was made to be wrong. And now I believe I'm more on the right path. I don't think I can actually know the truth because I haven't overthrown the Jews that control the narrative. But the start is to realize that the narrative we're given is wrong. And just acknowledge the stupidity in it. And that's what I encourage you guys to do more than anything. Pick any sort of anything that was supposedly built in the 1800s or earlier, even the early 1900s, it'll fall into that category. Pre-19 20, 1930 maybe, 1940, I don't know. But pick anything and fucking hey, let's talk about it. I'll look it up. You tell me what it is. I'll look it up, and we'll see how much water it holds, how much weight it holds. I'd be willing to bet it falls apart relatively easily.
Good morning, Mr. Paul. Mr. Rose, I can't believe you came all the way down the road today.
And don't do what this dumbass does. This guy does the Alex Jones thing where, Alex Jones will tell you, I'm going to tell you some stuff. I have got some information that's going to blow your socks off. It is about this, and I'm going to tell you about this. I'm going to tell you in a little while. I'm going to tell you in a little while. And you go through the whole show, and you've seen all the goddamn fucking commercials, and you've gotten it, and then at the end, it's like, oh, this memo, I'll read it tomorrow on the feed first thing. And then he'll just keep milking it. It's all bullshit.
That's deceptive. That's stuff that people get angry about, and you'll lose your following.
Okay, well, let's see. This guy says, search Gnostic Hegel. Okay. Alex Jones is always correct. As soon as you said that, there you go. To say anybody is always correct is stupid. That's not something genius level people think or say. Nobody is always correct. Let's look up this second grade bullshit. Because to me, I want to look up the main stuff. You want to look up the secondary stuff. Okay. Oh, let's see.
Oh, come on. I'll give you an extra 200. What do you mean you can't deliver it today? I'm not being a wise guy. No. Hey, Marissa, do you have any connections in the Christmas tree business?
Forget getting a tree. You're not even going to make it home for Christmas Eve.
What? Why not?
Find that window.
Oh, Jesus. I don't want to do this.
The blizzard just struck New York City.
The Gnostic accusation. What did Hegel believe the most Gnostic form of impossible? This doesn't come up. Your thing doesn't come up.
Victims deserve justice. Criminal Minds today, starting 11:10 Central on Ion.
CISM. Yeah, that doesn't come up. Go ahead. He was correct about Sandy Hook. So? That's called controlled opposition. They have to give some things. You have to give some of it. And yeah, giving a story being correct about something like Sandy Hook, something that was completely covered up, something that was completely shut down, something that was complete bullshit. That's exactly it. It's not something that we can look into. there's no, that is done. Once it's done, it's done. And then there's no double checking. There's no nothing. We 100% rely on the Jews to give us the narrative. Oh, Hegel is Marx's mentor. Hegel is famous for a controlled dialect. I don't care. I don't believe in the character. You believe in the character. I don't believe in the character. We're on different levels here. The real controllers are the Gnostics. Sure. I go put a post on my page, fuck the Gnostics, and I guarantee nothing happens. I put a fuck the Jews post on my Facebook, and that'll last 5 minutes. Nobody cares about the Gnostics. And the reality is, like, again, I'm sure the real truth is somewhere in between is something. I'm sure we don't actually know the real truth. But I know the thing I'm not supposed to talk about and the thing that gets the most money, the most power, the most control is Israel. So that's the first step. I don't know where that's going to lead, but that's the first step. If it leads to the Gnostics, I'll be surprised, but okay. But the Israelis and all the dual Israeli citizens and the Jews take all the heat. Yep, that's what it is. Those Gnostics like Netanyahu, Gnostics like Biden, like Bezalel Smotrich and Itmar Ben-Gvir and Avi Moez and Anthony Blinken and Jake Sullivan, all those Gnostics out there. Yep. That's what it is. And the Jews take all the heat. Strange how many of them are Jews, huh? I mean, everything about it is just dumb. It's like, so the group that's nobody's allowed to talk about is the one that's been hated throughout all of eternity, basically. And most of that hatred revolves around, like, it's funny, it's like nobody ever talks about, why do people hate the Jews so much? Like, why? Is it, I mean, if they're such good people, why does everybody hate them so much? I know on the Archie Bunker show, the little Jew girl asked the Jew partner, and he sat her down, and he sat down all. We've been asking that question for 5,000 years. We don't know. They have no idea why everybody hates them so much. And for 5,000 years, huh? Gee, I thought people hated you guys because of the whole Jesus thing. The Jesus thing is 5,000 years old? Correct. The perfect villain created through social engineering. Genius. Yep, that's what it is. Both sides controlled by the same system. Both sides of what? What are you talking about, both sides? The same system controlling everything is the Jews. If you look at the narrative we are given, and you're capable of reading between the lines, you will see it's very clearly the Jews. Very clearly. And especially the fact that you are then told you're not allowed to talk about it. That's where all the other crazy shit comes from. You know, when you're told, okay, I figured it out. Okay, first of all, they're told you have to figure out the meaning of life. You have to figure out, you know, what's going on, what the bad guy is. You know, this we got to figure it out. And you go, okay, let me look at things. And you look at things and you go, oh, you know, eventually you come to that point where you're like, wow, the Jews are really awful. They do some really horrible things, and there's a lot of really weird government that goes on, and I'm not even allowed to be saying these things. And you eventually figure it out, and you say, hey, I figured it out. It's the Jews. They actually control. No, no, no. I want to tell you that I figured out I figured out it's the Jews. You're like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Yeah, you can't say that. And you're like, well, am I wrong or no? You just can't say that. Well, why can't I say that? Duh. Because you can't. Because we say you can't say that. And you go, okay, well, but I'm supposed to figure out what's wrong, right? Yeah, figure it out. I did figure it out. Okay, so what'd you come up with? Well, you told me I can't say it. Okay, well, come up with something else. Okay, there's a bad guy, like a powerful bad guy that controls. He lives down in the ground and he makes all the bad stuff happen. There you go. That's good. That sounds good. Okay. And you're like, yeah, but that's really stupid. Yeah, well, you know, it's acceptable though. It's acceptable stupid. And you're like, oh, okay then, I guess. From here on out, I'll say that thing. Hey, you notice how in the Bible it keeps saying the Jews, they're forgiven. Happened in the 80s. The Jews were all forgiven for killing Jesus. You think I'm kidding? That's what it is. If you don't see anything wrong with this stuff, like, you're who I want to hear from. But as always, you know, I have these group of watchers who's watching me and not saying anything. And then I have the other one who are like dumb, you know, just say the dumb shit. The fraternity that supersedes surface alliances. Well, Skull and Bones, we know that Vance is Skull and Bones because Vance went to Yale. I love how they put this, like, the you know, the hillbilly politician they keep saying. He's from Kentucky, so he's the hillbilly politician. He's like, what hillbillies are allowed to go to Yale? Yale is extremely selective in who they bring into their school. And you're telling me this goofy old hillbilly, Kentucky hillbilly. He was just so smart, huh? It's all bullshit, guys. It's sad. It's scary. You know, what they're doing, what they're... Oh, I hate thinking about it. I hate thinking about, you know... I mean, we are at the end of 2024. So it's 4 years until 29. And... I mean, they were a year behind with the flu, with the, you know, the Spanish flu COVID. So maybe they're a year behind. I don't know. You are sad and scary. Yup. More shoot the messenger from the dumb Trump supporter who can't address the fact that Trump lost the 2016 election by 2.7 million votes and the swamp put him in anyway. Your opinion mattered. See, I mean, again, anybody that ends up watching this, ask yourself, where do these goofy trolls come from? What if it's random? Why would the same goofy trolls come to my feed day after day saying the same shit. If it's all these just random trolls who just happen to be on my feed because they saw it on the, you know, on YouTube, why would YouTube keep suggesting it? Where do these guys keep coming from? All these same guys who spell things the same way wrong, who have the same sentence structure and everything they say. Where do these guys come from? Whose comments disappear after the video's over? It's one of the reasons why I read them, because afterwards the comments are surprisingly gone. Read the above comment. You won't. I already did. You are sad and scary. You know, I already read that. Moms for Trump, don't misgender me. Moms for Trump, don't misgender me. So you're a dumb woman? Oh my God. This whole time, you're a dumb woman who supports Trump and is a Christian? I guess you're not a full Christian though, right? Because you don't like Timothy 2:11, right? Right, isn't that how that works? Timothy 2:11, that's the one that you guys never like to acknowledge. Of course she doesn't. Let a woman learn in silence with full submission. I permit no woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She is to keep silent. Timothy 2:11. Don't like that part of the Bible though, do you? Oh, dumb fucking Kamala. Oh my God. These guys are just so stupid. These females. This is a woman who wants a pussy grab by Trump, I guess. You know, fuck all those women's rights. Who cares? The government should be all up in women's rights. Because that's a real woman right there talking. That's not a bot. Seriously. The same stupid is like, if you fall for it, you fall for it. I don't know. Maybe I have higher beliefs or higher hopes for our society than to think that people aren't really this stupid. Not so consistently though. Like stupid is usually like it has its variations. This stupid is always the same stupid. And again, this person has nothing else going on in their life. So every day they come to my feed so they can like get made to look stupid for a couple hours. Does that make sense to anyone else? Is that something that real people do? I guess I've just never done it, so I would never, you know. Yeah, I guess. I can't imagine. Like, it would be one thing if you know, that person's feed I went to, they talk some shit and I talk some shit. And when I talk the shit, they like shut down, like, yeah, fuck you, you know what? Fuck you, whatever. And they hung and they ended the feed. And then they went live again. And with the same sort of attitude. Like, I could see maybe doing that if it really mattered that much, I guess. But to go to a feed and then just like the person is thanking you. Thank you for being the example of the dumb Trump supporter that I'm talking about. Like, thank you for being the example of the dumb Christian. Thank you for being the example of the dumb woman I didn't even know. My God, thank you. Like, I that's just not in me. I couldn't do that. I don't understand. But that when I think about that, I think, okay, that's the level of stupid that I would expect to vote for Trump.
Yes.
Right? Like it makes sense. It's just weird. It's just like how
Exist. Oh my God, you do exist. You are real.
I still don't think it's necessarily a real person. I still think it's likely a character of one person or of a group. Like those, you've seen those videos of the walls of phones, right? And this is where education comes in. You have to know what they want you to know. And what they told you is that multiple black ops organizations like Team Jorge exist. It was just Team Jorge that got exposed. But Team Jorge alone had 40,000 social media profiles at their disposal. This isn't my conspiracy. I know this is where like for my wife and for other people this might be hard for you guys to like accept. This isn't me. I'm not just making some shit up to try to fit my point. Team Jorge is a real fucking thing. And I didn't just make up that number 40,000. They said it. It was reported. They bragged about it. And that was years ago. 40,000 profiles that they can just sick on anything, like some fucking drones or some flies or whatever. Oh, here we go with the loser stuff again. Loser! See what I mean? This is what I mean. Like if I did that, if I've just got so mad that I was like, loser, and hung up, I could totally see you coming back and getting more. I guess, if you're that shallow. But when you're the person that gets to that point where you get like you get reverted back to a child, like that's just weird to me. I couldn't do it. So I don't know, man. It's that it's all like these puzzle pieces that just fit together. And me personally, I think the Jews aren't smart. I think they're ruthless. I think that's why they control things. Because by identifying themselves as these superior Jews, and then us as being no different than cows and pigs and shit. Like, look at what we do to cows and pigs. See, this is, again, this is shit that I think people might think I'm just sort of making up, or I don't really know. But according to their beliefs, I know there's probably a lot of them that struggle with it, but according to their beliefs, everything that isn't them is goyim. And everything that's goyim is there for their disposal. They can do with it as they please. So when we are lumped into the same category as dogs and cats and cows and shit, like again, you don't allow yourself to really think that through. But look at what we do to cows. Like, we think it's a good thing that we figured out how to use every part of the cow so none of it goes to waste. Doesn't that make you feel better? Well, at least they're killing it, but it's getting used all the way, even down to its hooves, its asshole, its snout, all that stuff. Yum, 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 yum. Like, that's how we look. That's how we look at them. That's how they look at us. Yeah, 3 people watching you, fool. Yep, that's what it is. Because that makes sense. And out of all the people in the world, the 3 people that come back, that the 3 people that are watching, are the same 3 that just keep coming back to prove my point to the people that watch it later. Gotcha. I mean, at this point, like, you have to ask yourself, for those of you on the skeptical side, the wife side of things, who is going to do this? You're talking about almost a decade of just living for me? So you can pretend to not like me and then prove my point? Like, that's just weird. Every time the little blocks get lifted, I get these crazy numbers. How does somebody like me get crazy numbers sometimes? What's the difference? What am I? What would be different on my end? I mean, it's all just right there. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Like, if there's something I'm getting wrong, if you can, make me look foolish, then do it. But just understand, you're probably not as prepared as you think. It's really like, it's like, the real question is why? Why is it so difficult? If I'm the one that's wrong, and you're the one that's going by the pre-made playbook, like you believe the story that everybody believes, then why isn't it easier to just explain yourself? That's the thing. That's what, like, my driving force is like, if somebody asks me to explain what I'm thinking or whatever, I don't want to get to that point where I'm like, well, I don't really know. I never really thought about why I think this way. I want those answers. I want to know whether it's something scientific or whatever, or whether it's something dysfunctional. Is this a behavior that I learned? Is this something that does this represent which side of my family do I get this from? And do I want to keep it? Do I want to let it go? Like all of that shit. I can't imagine why anybody doesn't do that. We should. That should be all of our goals, is to figure this shit out.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Especially when there's a genocide taking place.
Give the assist.
Like, if you don't care about a genocide, I don't understand you. Yeah. Now, I thought the other thing was the first thing. The other thing was the first thing should study.
First things.
Then Hegelian dialect, right? And I'm not trying to study any of these things. Looking something up and then reading it on here, that's the point. Let's figure out what is said, but it's going to be under a skeptical approach. So, we'll restart. Pedophiles, kill yourself.